Welcome, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of ICF LinkedIn Live. And today I have a very special guest, Tiffany Gaskell, co-CEO of Performance Consultants. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Magda.
So for those of you who do not know Tiffany, you will know her very well after our program today, as she is a co-CEO of Performance Consultants. And Tiffany is by far the authority on performance coaching and especially culture transformation. She has spent 20 years working with C-suite at Fortune 500 and also in financial sector. An innovator and advocate for ways to measure the benefits of coaching, very important topic, and the impact of leaders on culture, performance, and the bottom line. Tiffany is the creator of Coaching for Performance ROI, Impact 360, and the Performance Curve and Safety Performance Curve. She is the co-author of Coaching for Performance. We're going to talk about the book a little bit later. Keynote speaker on transformational leadership, impactful coaching, and is featured on multiple platforms in print and in person, like she is with us today. So, Tiffany, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Magda.
So, performance consultants. Many people may know about the company as it was established by the legendary late Sir John Whitmore. How can I blank his name? And of course, from the very beginning, you were right there with him. So tell us more a little about how the company itself evolved over the years as coaching evolved quite dramatically in the last several decades.
Well, Sir John Whitmore, amazing figure, and we'll talk about you knowing him as well, very well. But he was the first person to call coaching, as we know it today, coaching. So that's a crazy thought, because from it has spawned the coaching industry that we know today. And he coined the term performance coaching. He was co-created the GROW model. It's the most used coaching model in the world. He is also author of Coaching Performance, which he wrote in 1992. And he was so far ahead of his time. So really, Performance Consultants has evolved along with his vision. We are looking to do groundbreaking work in the field of coaching that proves the case for coaching in organizations and how it has such a beneficial effect for the people, for the organizations, for profit and for planet.
Yeah. And the planet was very high on John's agenda, that's for sure. Again, very early pioneer for renewable energy and a lot of other planet-friendly activities and approaches. So this is really important to talk a little bit about coaching in organizations, because even when I first got involved with ICF, coaching for once was not very well known. Was defined more so by what it was not rather than what it was. But most importantly, it was pretty much reserved for a very elite group of people, in organizational context, perhaps for the C-suite, for the COO, maybe CEO, maybe some senior vice presidents, which, looking from the perspective of years, that was maybe a little bit arrogant to believe that one person and one person only can change the culture and the performance, mind you, of the entire organization. So anymore, we see the coaching cultures being built in organizations, coaching being afforded to the entire enterprise. What observations do you have? As I know, performance consultants do a lot of very large scale coaching interventions.
Yes. So the first thing to say is that, we see business as a potential force for good in the world. And whereby we use coaching to enable that. So you were talking about coaching and culture. So coaching, when you bring coaching into, then performance improves exponentially.
Mm.
And we're able to show that. And it's logical to us coaches, because as potential comes through, then performance is enabled. So what we're looking to do is clear out the interferences. And these are through healthier conversations, a leadership that is has got a different mindset, and also people throughout the organization using coaching. And that's the democratization of coaching.
Indeed.
So when I think of companies that we're working with, then I'm thinking of Johnson & Johnson, for example, where all of their people, that's 135,000 people, have access to the book Coaching for Performance. They all have access to a coaching toolkit that so that people can start to use the skills of coaching in their everyday conversations. And we know what an impact that has. And the CEO of Performance of Johnson & Johnson actually says that it is about coaching is about the whole person. So we see this subtle shift in organizations where it's not about the organization just in the interest of the organization anymore. It's about in the interest of the people, and that then serves the interests of the organizations. So more of a symbiotic relationship is coming, which I think is really exciting.
I think it is because, we of course talk about systemic coaching or holistic coaching for quite a while now, but I do believe that the times of COVID brought it so very vividly to the attention of the leadership, because they, I think, experienced the same. Sometimes they were not a CEO or COO; they were a person who really tried to put their life together with so many things happening in their lives that the company, its success, its thriving was maybe not on the top of the agenda that given day. So to me, this is really a very positive shift, recognizing the person as a whole, which coaching is of course doing from the very beginning and the very definition.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting point in time for the coaching industry. And it's kind of extraordinary because there's so much very difficult stuff going on in the world right now. But there's also it seems like a turning point in organizations, because coaching used to be a nice to have, and now it's a must have because it's an enabler of performance and potential. And so many organizations are waking up to that, and it's very exciting.
You mentioned you almost, well, not almost, you pretty much answered the question that I wanted to ask, and it was about democratization of coaching through the organization seeing a wisdom, frankly, a business case and a strategic case in affording coaching to broader populations. And what we also see in our research is that when people are exposed to coaching thanks to their organizations, they tend to take it with them, quote unquote. In other words, they may change their own behavior. Some, you already mentioned, they may be using some of the coaching skills and attitudes, and they talk about coaching. So suddenly their colleagues and friends, family, community are intrigued and interested and more aware of the fact that coaching can make a significant difference in the life of an individual, but really at the meta level, to the level of the planet, as you mentioned.
Yes.
So what do you think, other than the obvious, coaching really increases performance? Why do you think organizations are keen on engaging with coaching?
I think that coaching has the answer to a lot of questions that organizations are asking themselves right now. Like, how do I create a meaningful and purposeful journey for my people? Because, as you mentioned, COVID, a lot of, it was an extraordinary moment in time, because suddenly everybody's mortality was put front and center. And, the fact that we've got one life, and that we this idea that, not wasting it, of dedicating it to something that we truly believe in, that we truly enjoy, that changes the whole dynamics of the workplace. And I think that is what we're seeing in terms of a shift going on in the world right now.
Do you think that it has also something to do with the younger generations coming to workforce?
Mm.
We already know that at this moment, I think last research I read, millennials. Uh, Millennials already represent about 35% of the workforce, but by next year, and I mean next year, 2025, there will be 75%. That's amazing. The Z's are already coming to the workplace, and they seem to be having very different opinion about leadership, very different desire for the leadership style. And also, I think that that part of being a part of something good, being a part of a force that is changing the world for the better, is visible, and it's quite pronounced in what they talk about and in the values they represent. So do you think that this is also engaging with coaching? We hear from many younger people that when they are approached by the organization to join forces, they said, and I will have a coach, right? It's not a please, pretty please. It's like, when am I starting working with the coach? So do you think that the leadership is also now really responding to this changing workforce? And you know, there's so many facets of it, but one is that desire for different kind of leadership.
Yes, I totally agree with you, and that's why we have launched a transformational leader program. And so this program is a program that it teaches coaching skills, transformational coaching skills, how to bring them into leadership, because it's a very specific thing.
Indeed.
And actually, I'm thinking of an example, but before I go there, yes, millennials, I totally agree with you that there are pressures going on all around, and it's so interesting, evolution, isn't it? Because we're heading in a direction. Information as well, free flow of information means there's no place to hide. So I think all of these things are coming together to, I mean, the way is clear, the way we're going is clear. It's just how quickly organizations adopt it.
Right. Right, and it is a competitive advantage anymore, I would say, of the organizations that are truly embracing the culture of coaching. Speaking of culture, I know that performance consultants, you guys work with organizations, multinationals, but also organizations in very different parts of the world. Do you see difference? Do you need to adjust your approach? Is there something, what's that special ingredient to make coaching really resonate with sometimes very different belief systems and cultural systems?
Yes, I think that it's very interesting when you look at the different cultures around the world and think about this, because how is it that we have the same impact in all of the different countries we work in? So at the moment, we're working in over 40 countries, over 20 languages. And so how is it that in Sweden, you know, we can meet people where they are, and in South Korea, the same. And what that is, it's through local touch. So we have all of our global network is around the world, and so they are the people who are in the room bringing transformational. So it's really about meeting people where they are and values and needs. So it's when we think of the iceberg, it's below the iceberg that we're working, you know, as opposed to above the surface. So below the iceberg means that you're meeting the person where they are, just as we know as coaches. That's what you do.
Yeah. You mentioned also, and your bio specifically mentions your passion for measuring the impact of coaching. As you well know, the discussion about ROI or ROE, return on expectation, or anymore, it's being also called ROE, being return on engagement. So many times when we talk about ROI, there are so many discussions. There are people saying, of course, it can be measured, and those who say, nah, you can't measure it because it is so situational and so attuned to the specific goal of the coaching engagement, and the specificity and localization of the coaching intervention. So what do you say about it? Who created a special tool to measure ROI?
Well, what I say is that, so I used to be on a trading floor, and basically modeling derivatives. And if you can model derivatives, you can model coaching. So that's what I say about it. I mean, obviously it's a art, not a science. So, but there are, you can put things in there like confidence percentage levels just to check, so, is it down to this or is it down to something else? And so, yes, in that toolkit that you just mentioned, which we're sharing with all of the audience, is our kind of way of measuring, and it's published in the book as well. So yes, I advocate measurement because, first of all, it measures on two levels. One is the story level. It's wonderful to be able to tell the stories of how your coaching has impacted the organization. And the second thing is at the business impact level, because not in every scenario, but in a lot of scenarios, you are able to measure the impact on the bottom line.
Right. Exactly, because sometimes, as we said, the specific goal for the coaching engagement may not be the bottom line, right? It could be better communication, it could be better engagement, but we do know that eventually it does translate into business results for the organization as well.
Yeah.
So and sometimes there are proxies, as you said, that allow us to measure that. I think that one of the greatest measurements is the happiness of the workforce, and do they stay or do they go? How easy it is to retain and attract, right?
Yes.
How willing they are to recommend the organization to others. So yeah, there are some very interesting proxies that we can use in this conversation, which is fantastic. Now, a shift here, because another huge talk in a coaching field is technology, and especially the use of artificial intelligence in coaching. Do you use any AI tools in your work?
Well, it's funny you should say that. So we're exploring all the advancements in AI, and we are thinking about where they can add value to our business. So we are bringing those in where they add value. And I had a funny example the other day in terms of I was trying out a tool which was an avatar. So I was coaching an avatar, and I was using our transformational leader toolkit, and you're presented with a scenario. So an avatar comes, really sort of frustrated team member, and so using transformational leader skills. So this is coaching for leaders. I was bringing that approach. And afterwards, at the end of it, so it was really interesting because I'm interacting with this avatar. At the end of it, we had a debrief, and the person behind the avatar said, "Wow, that was really different." And it's so interesting because traditional leadership takes a different approach to conflict, to difficult conversations, and the coaching approach is much more collaborative, much more partnering.
Right.
And so, yes, I think it's very powerful, to explore AI, see what it can do, and bring it in where helpful. But that was a fun thing to experience that the other day.
Yeah, we, as you know, we do a lot of research with PricewaterhouseCoopers in particular, and maybe a couple of years ago, we asked the question, "What do you think about AI in coaching?" Oh, that was a fear. That was definitely a fear coming through. That was like, AI is replacing human coaches. AI is basically not a good phenomenon, and not a good disruption in the field of coaching. We asked the same question maybe less than a year later, and the response was very different. The response was, "Look, it's here to stay. Let's find the best ways to use AI to enhance the human coaching and to support," because in my opinion, AI can support a coach, a client, and a coaching process. So there
Mhm.
are some very important and interesting applications, having in mind, of course, that we need to be, and we are as ICF, in conversation with the developers, with AI specialists. So we are applying this new force in an ethical way,
Mm.
in a way that everybody is very cognizant of what can and should be done versus where we should not be crossing the line. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear that you are also experimenting with AI yourself. That's great.
Yeah. No,
Um,
absolutely.
so, so, Coaching for Performance, the
Yes.
book, the
Yes.
Bible. It's in its sixth edition. Six. That's that's unheard of, and still being number one on so many lists of leadership books to read. So, what do you think makes Coaching for Performance such a powerful book?
Mm. Well, I am thinking back to Sir John and his
Mm,
timeless vision, which is very timely. And what we've done is, in this last edition, we've widened and deepened. So we've gone further into what it means to grapple with the issues of the world today.
mm,
So, for example, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of human needs, we've identified secondary needs. So, where people are looking for meaning and purpose in work, not just, the title, but actually to be connected to it. Things like that. Also, the other thing that we're thinking about in this new edition, and we're always looking to bring it up to date so it reflects the very latest thinking.
right.
But what we're thinking about in this new edition is how to um, portray coaching conversations, because unless people have actually witnessed it or
Mhm.
seen a coaching conversation written down, they won't know what it is. And so we've included those created by our experts, and really the final thing is, that I want to highlight is about case studies. So new case studies. So what cutting edge organizations are doing now, and we do work with multinationals around the world, but also smaller companies that
Mm,
are visionary, and so yes, just talking about the approaches they're bringing, so that we're sharing and getting that knowledge out, so that everybody can take that into their working in with organizations. That's really the focus is on that.
yeah, yeah, and you mentioned two things so very important. One, that yeah, it's so difficult to explain coaching, but when a person experiences that, is like, oh, and then the case studies, there is always my favorite, because you mentioned the value and or ROI of a story. That's it. Case studies are bringing us those
Mm,
stories, and
mm,
some of them could be on a very organizational level, and many of them are on a very personal level. How maybe a work related intervention really supported the personal growth of an individual as well. So this is really very cool. So the book is available, isn't
yes.
it?
I'm just getting the book from here because I can see it's not in the picture.
You can listen to
So
this one. Oh my gosh!
it's available now, and I also have to say that the prologue is preface is done by you, Magda,
I
and we're
know,
very
I was very honored to be invited to do that. I had a good fortune to knowing Sir John, in fact, and the legend, yes, and what a character. Oh,
what
yikes.
a character.
Yeah,
Indeed.
missing his sense of humor, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yes, exactly. And you can still find John in the book. I mean, when
Yes.
I'm working on the book, it's like having a conversation with him. And I know he was such a champion of yours, Magda, and he would be absolutely delighted. He'll be doing a happy dance in heaven that you have written the preface.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you, thank you. So
yeah.
John, for some of you viewers, was a recipient of the ICF President's Award at one point, and very close colleague and collaborator for everything coaching. When coaching was still something very new, little vague, and Sir John certainly did a lot to put it on a map. And you, Tiffany, and your team, and David Brown, you are continuing his amazing work in your own very well with what I. So I appreciate what you said, that you always try to make a book relevant to what is. And that's true that John's vision is absolutely timeless, and yet how we apply coaching changes along with the with what's happening around us, and a lot is happening around us, as you said before.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time, and again, I am so grateful for you joining us today, and super excited about the gift that you are offering. Would you mind telling us a little bit more about this special bonus?
Yes, absolutely. So we talked a little bit just now about the importance of measuring ROI. So that is available for download as a toolkit, and yes, I would really recommend that you have a look at that, and have a look at also the techniques in the book. The other thing is that there is an assessment, a 360 assessment for leaders to do, because part of the journey of leadership is becoming aware of the impact we're having as leaders on the people around us. So using that to get feedback and therefore, develop further as a leader.
Yeah. This is very generous gift. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Thank you, Performance Consultants. And I do invite everyone to check if you want to know more about Performance Consultants. And Tiffany, again, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Take good care.
Thank you.